car came to a halt in front of Lucien's hotel, the sleek black facade gleaming under evening nightlights. I tightened my grip on the steering wheel, jaw clenching as I stared at the building's entrance. Lucien always had a way of orchestrating his theatrics, and the thought of dealing with him only made my patience wear thinner. I stepped out, the cool night air doing little to ease the heat simmering beneath my skin. With purposeful strides, I made my way to the entrance. The doorman nodded, opening the grand glass doors as I walked inside. A polished worker greeted me immediately, bowing slightly before speaking. "Mr. Anderson, Mr. Lucien is waiting for you in the VIP private lounge. Please this way." I followed him silently, the muffled sounds of classical music and faint chatter growing distant as we ascended to the exclusive floor. The plush carpet absorbed the sound of my footsteps, the hallway eerily quiet, until the worker stopped in front of an intricately carved wooden door. He opened it with a soft click and stepped aside. "Enjoy your evening, sir." I walked in, my eyes landing on Lucien instantly. He was seated in one of the high-backed leather chairs, swirling a glass of red wine lazily in his hand. His posture was relaxed, his suit crisp, and his expression painted with amusement. "Long time, brother," he said smoothly, not even looking up as he continued to admire the swirling liquid. "I'm happy to see you." The casual greeting was like a spark to my already frayed nerves. I didn't bother sitting or exchanging greetings. Instead, I stepped closer, my voice low and tightly controlled. "Where the fuck did you get all the shit you told me on the phone?" Lucien finally glanced up, his dark eyes glinting with a hint of mischief. He smiled, a slow, deliberate curve of his lips that only made my jaw tighten further. "Sit first," he said, gesturing to the chair across from him, his tone as calm as if he were offering me tea instead of playing mind games. I didn't move. "I didn't come here for games, Lucien." "Nor did I," he replied, setting his wine glass down with a soft clink. "But trust me, what I'm about to tell you deserves a bit of composure on your part. Sit, Grayson." His confidence only made my blood boil, but I reluctantly lowered myself into the chair opposite him. My eyes never left his as I leaned forward, my hands braced on my knees. "Talk." Lucien chuckled softly, leaning back in his chair as if he held all the time in the world. Always so impatient. "Very well," he said, steepling his fingers. His smile widened as he spoke, his voice dripping with satisfaction. "Let's discuss what I know about your dear girlfriend's past and your future with her, brother." I tensed, the weight of his words hanging heavy between us. Whatever he was about to reveal, I knew it wouldn't end here. I gritted my teeth, the heat rising to my chest as I leaned forward, my voice a low growl. "I'm asking again, Lucien. Where did you get that false information?" Lucien chuckled, the sound cold and sharp, echoing off the walls like a blade dragging across stone. He tilted his head slightly, as though he were amused by my question, savoring my agitation. "False?" he repeated, arching a brow. "Did you just call it false? Oh, Grayson." He leaned back in his chair, crossing one leg over the other as a smug grin spread across his face. "No, it's not false. It's the truth. I did my research very thoroughly, painstakingly, in fact. I wouldn't bring this to you if I wasn't absolutely certain." I felt the veins in my temple throb as his tone grew more deliberate, each word sinking in like a thorn. "And here's the best part," Lucien continued, his voice now dripping with mockery. "It wasn't just anyone who orchestrated it. My dad, oh no, pardon me, our dad, was the one who killed your dearest girlfriend's father. The The air in the room turned heavier, almost suffocating. I sat frozen for a moment, his words ringing in my ears. My hands curled into fists, nails biting into my palms. "You're lying," I said, my voice dark and venomous. Lucian shrugged, his smirk unwavering. "I wish I were, for your sake. But alas, the truth is often more bitter than lies, isn't it?" He leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees as his gaze locked with mine. "Why do you think he did it, Grayson? To protect the family name? Or was it just to teach the poor man a lesson he couldn't survive?" My heart pounded, rage bubbling beneath my skin. But beneath the anger, there was something worse. An ache. A fragment of doubt I didn't want to acknowledge, not even to myself. "You have no proof," I spat. Lucian's smile widened as he reached into his jacket and pulled out a sleek black envelope. He tossed it onto the table between us, the sound of it landing feeling louder than it should. "Proof," he said casually. "Every word, every detail neatly compiled. Take a look, brother. You'll find all the answers you're looking for, along with a few you're not." I stared at the envelope, my jaw tightening as a storm of emotion swirled inside me. Lucian's gaze remained fixed on mine, his satisfaction palpable. "Go on," he urged, his tone almost taunting. "Or are you afraid of what you'll find?" Lucian's words hung in the air like a taunt, daring me to open the envelope that now sat between us like a ticking bomb. My fingers twitched, itching to grab it, to see what game he was playing. But my gut churned with equal parts rage and dread. I reached for the envelope, my fingers brushing against its edge. But before I could grab it, Lucian's hand slammed down on top of it. His grip was firm, his knuckles pale against the black paper. "My intentions in all of this," he said, leaning closer, his voice now a dangerous whisper. "Simple. Give me my darling back." I froze, my glare locked on his smug expression as he clarified. "I mean your ex-wife, Skylar." Lucian's smile widened, his eyes glinting with a predator's satisfaction. "I have multiple copies of these photos and documents, Grayson. Every single one. And believe me, I have no problem showing them to your new girlfriend. What's her name again? Ariana, right?" He smirked knowingly. "You wouldn't dare," I hissed, my voice seething with fury. "Oh, I would," he said coolly. "Unless, of course, you make this easy for both of us. Give me back what I want. Skylar, and this little folder of mine, it stays our little secret." He leaned back, removing his hand from the envelope, but leaving it untouched on the table. "Hope you understand, brother," he added, his tone dripping with mock camaraderie. Before I could say another word, he reached out and patted my shoulder, as though we were two old friends sharing a laugh. The gesture burned, his touch mocking and insincere. Then, without another glance, Lucian stood and strode toward the door, his footsteps echoing ominously in the silence. I sat down heavily, the weight of Lucian's words pressing down on my chest like an iron vice. My fingers trembled as I opened the envelope, bracing myself for whatever secrets it held. The first photo stopped me cold. A man lay sprawled across a desolate road, his body twisted at unnatural angles, blood pooling beneath him. The harsh glare of a streetlight illuminated the scene, highlighting the brutality of his death. I swallowed hard and flipped to the next image. It was the same man, but this time he was in the mortuary, his body laid out on a cold steel table, covered in bruises and cuts. It was a clear message, but one I couldn't understand at first. How had Lucian gotten his hands on these? The third photo was a close-up of a number plate. My breath hitched when I recognized it. It was one of Lord Andre's favorite cars, the one he used to drive years ago in the UK. Next came a series of documents, meticulously photographed. Transactions, records, signatures. My eyes darted over each one, and every familiar name I saw sent a surge of fury through me. Lord Andre's men, their signatures, their involvement. Then came the final set of photos, images of a general police officer, shaking hands with men I knew were no strangers to dirty dealings. I clenched the photos so tightly that the edges dug into my skin. My knuckles turned white as my mind raced, piecing together the puzzle that Lucien had so gleefully presented to me. With a deep, shuddering breath, I shoved the photos back into the envelope and stood. My vision was blurred with anger, my jaw set in grim determination. Storming out of the room, I headed straight for my car. Sliding into the driver's seat, I slammed the door shut and gripped the steering wheel, my pulse hammering in my ears. The engine roared to life, and I sped out of the driveway, gravel crunching beneath the tires. There was only one destination on my mind: Lord Andre's home. Whatever truth lay buried beneath these photos, I was going to rip it out of him, no matter the cost.